We're in Ulrich Schnauss's studio and we're going to get a quick tour. Take it away, Ulrich.
Yeah, we're going to start off with this one. That's the Elka Synthex. That's a polyphonic synthesizer from the early 80s. It has quite a particular sound in the way that it doesn't have much bottom end or warmth, but a very sort of crystally, high-endy type sound. And below that is the Rhodes Chroma, which is essentially an ARP synthesizer, but ARP went bust, and Rhodes bought the brand and released this one, which is I think the last ARP project, which then saw the light of day. But yeah, like I said, already released under the name Rhodes. It has a typical ARP sound in the sense that it's has a very aggressive, very present mid-range, and therefore I find it very useful for sort of elements that need to cut through in a mix, like melodies or sequences that need to be very present. And
would you ever start a tune on one of these? Would you ever sit at one of these to compose, or is it all done on the piano?
I always start on the piano, and these two I probably would use a bit later in the process as well, because like I said, they sort of cover quite specific ranges. They're not really all-rounders, and that's in my opinion at least. I mean, it's always quite subjective, obviously. And over here is the Oberheim 8-voice system. Oberheim released a monophonic synth module in the early 70s, the SEM, and then they offered several polyphonic versions by basically just fitting several of these modules into one instrument. There's a 2-voice, 4-voice, and this 8-voice version, and I would say that it's probably the most powerful polyphonic analog synth I've ever come across, which I think has got to do a lot with the fact that if you're playing this, you're essentially playing 8 independent monophonic synths chained up, rather than having a design which makes certain compromises already to achieve the polyphony. And over here is a classic that everyone will know, the DX7. But what's nice about it is that at some point I managed to buy a programmer for it. Only I think about 20 or 25 of these exist. And the DX7 is obviously a great and very versatile instrument, but it's very difficult to program. And the good thing with this programmer is that it makes that process a lot more intuitive.
And only 25 of those were made. Incredible.
Yeah.
What happened to the key? Can we just ask?
I was touring with this for a while, and equipment always gets broken at airports, and I think they opened this when I was traveling into the US or something and just broke it. So.
Okay. I want to move around that way.
Yeah, and then there's a couple of things in here. So basically, this is sort of stuff that is. Lightweight enough that I can actually carry it myself, which is a bit difficult with something like the Synthex or the Chroma. So I'll just put these here, and when I want to use something, I'll take it out. And it's all across the board, really. There's some digital stuff here, like the Ensoniq Fismo, which is quite an interesting instrument. Digital waveforms right next to it. It's a bit difficult to see it. It's the PPG Wave, another digital classic, but there's some analog stuff here as well, like for instance the Oberheim OB8, which is probably one of my most used instruments, and something that's always a good starting point. Memory Moog, also a nice polyphonic synthesizer from the 80s, and on top is another one that I can't move just by myself because it's too heavy, so that's why it's permanently set up, the Waldorf Wave, which is usually I think considered as probably the ultimate wavetable synth. I don't know, it's quite lucky actually. I bought 2 of these in in a very bad state, completely broken, sent them to Germany to a technician that had worked for Waldorf previously, and out of the two broken ones, he assembled this working one. And yeah, should I go further in
yeah,
there?
just keep going around there. That's good.
Yeah, that's the piano. That's a semi electric piano. The Yamaha CP80 works a bit like an electric guitar. So it has strings. So you can also play it when it's not amplified, but there's pickups inside, and you can plug it straight into a mixing desk, and it's quite easy to record. Therefore. On top of it is a Korg synthesizer from the 70s, which has a very interesting sound as well, because it's using a kind of octave divide technology, which makes it fully polyphonic, although it doesn't have, I don't know, 32 or 48 or whatever oscillators. So it's the same technology that was used in 70s string synths. And has a bit of a similar sound to those as well, but the advantage is that all those string synths from the 70s, like the Farfisa or whatever, they're not really programmable to a great detail, while this one is. Yeah, okay, and that's the place where I'm sitting most of the time. This is where the sequencer is, the computer with running logic on that. That's what I use to sequence and record. And then there's a couple of racks around with effects, but some rack-mounted synthesizers as well. Essentially, this is the place where I'm spending most of the time. I do walk around a bit to work with the other instruments in the room, but most of the time I'm probably sitting here and sequencing, treating recordings, and routing things as well. Everything comes together here where the patch bay is, and then I do a little pre-mix using that mixer before it goes into the computer.
That's great. All right, thank you very much for your time.